Many Palestinians in the West Bank are living in fear. Why? Well, according to the UN, attacks instigated by Jewish settlers have more than doubled since 2016. Hamdi Naasan was one of those victims. On Saturday, he died after being shot by settlers. The UN says that Israel's security forces were nearby, but took 2 hours to take action. An international observer force called the TIPH, or the Temporary International Presence in Hebron, has been stationed in the West Bank city for 20 years to create a sense of security for Palestinians. But Israel has now asked them to leave, which critics say violates the Oslo Accords. The Palestinian Authority has called on the UN to step in, fearing even more attacks on their people. Well, to discuss this, let's go to our guests. Bar-Yoshafat is in West Jerusalem. He's the Deputy Director of the Kohelet Policy Forum, an Israeli non-profit think tank. And in Hebron is Issa Amro. He is the co-founder of the Palestinian activist group Youth Against Settlements. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Newsmakers. Ramba, I'm looking at the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs and their statistics. They say the average number of violent incidents instigated by settlers every month increased by 57% in 2018 compared with 2017 and by 175% compared with 2016. So what's going on? Have the settlers become a law unto themselves?
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. When you have one or two events, then obviously the percentage will increase in gigantic percentages. I think it's very important to understand that every month we have between 100 to 200 terror attacks committed by Arabs against Jews living in Judea and Samaria and Jews living in Israel proper. And one more thing that I think is very important to add, that when there's an investigation taking place, for some reason people seem to assume that already the settlers are found guilty, but that's not really the case. The Palestinian that was killed a few days ago, and I condemn every act of violence, but he wasn't such an innocent person. We are talking about a convicted terrorist, and this was during an incident when people stabbed Jewish people living in Judea.
Okay, but you're saying, right, we don't know all the facts, but it does warrant the discussion. This is why we're having the discussion now. What we have is the UN spokesman, Rupert Colville, saying that 38-year-old Hamdi Naasan was shot in the back and killed in the village of Al-Mughayr near Ramallah. Settlers say they were attacked with stones and knives, right? So something's fundamentally wrong. Would you accept that given the statistics and given the timeline, Ranbar, that the settlers are attacking Palestinians in the West Bank with frequent regularity?
No, to be honest, I think it's a real joke, and I think that the reason why people are saying this is because they want to vilify Israel. All the Arabs living in villages in Judea and Samaria go to bed at night, and no one is worried the settler is going to attack them. All the Jews living in Judea and Samaria are worried that some Arab is going to come in the middle of the night and decapitate the head of their 3-month-old baby like happened in the past. I think that the terror committed by the Arabs of Judea and Samaria has reached an all-time high last month, but they shot an unborn baby.
Okay, but on this very show, okay, but hold on. On this very show, we talk about stabbing attacks. Listen, on this very show, we talk about stabbing attacks when they happen. We talk about car rammings. We talk about these things when they happen.
The terror attack happened today. The terror attack that happened today, an Arab terrorist attacked today, but no one's going to mention that.
Okay, but you don't want to talk about. But this is the problem. I struggle to find your credibility because when I want to talk about settler violence, you want to deflect to the thing we talk about when we cover it.
Because when you're talking about settler violence, and you're already saying that the settlers are violent, even though you have no.
Okay, but you already called an Arab a terrorist now. Can you name the.
But I have it on camera.
Okay.
I have it on camera. It's on camera, and you actually see the person taking the knife and stabbing. And I also know that the unborn baby that was murdered last month by a shoot-by of terrorists who take pride in the fact that they murdered these Jews. I know it's an act of terror.
But you know the intentions of the settlers.
If you ask me, I condemn any act of violence done by any person to any other
Okay, because
person.
It sounds as if you're saying the intentions of the settlers are pure and the intentions of the Palestinians are always impure.
No, that's really far about what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to talk about statistics, and it doesn't seem like this show is saying that every month we have between 100 to 200 terror attacks committed by Arabs against Jews. And I know that in this show, Jews living in Judea seems to be an international crime, but I disagree with that, and I think Jews should be allowed to live wherever they want.
Okay,
but
well,
the problem
I mean, it's not about this show. We have to have a basis for. We have to have a basis for discussing stuff, right? So ultimately, under international law, the settlements are illegal, and we mention it as being illegal. Okay.
Completely not.
Okay, it's your opinion. Listen, I mean, we can. I can
I'm
say,
a legal expert in international law, so I'm pretty sure that that's the case. But okay, but
okay,
that's really not why I came
okay.
here
Well,
today.
hold on. For the sake
We
of
talk about
clarity, you're telling me that under international law, the settlements are not illegal.
yes, I am telling you that
Okay.
Jews are allowed to live.
Okay. I mean, we're putting this online for time in perpetuity. So anyway, Issa Amro, let me bring you in. We've heard Bar-Yoshafat say that ultimately there's a context to this, right? Yes, there might be incidents where settlers attack Palestinians who are living in the West Bank, but this is dwarfed by the attacks from Palestinians against Jews. Does he have a point?
First of all, we should be clear that this is Palestine. According to the international law, it's Palestinian occupied territories. And according to the international law, that the settlers are illegal here. Geneva Convention Article 49 considers all the settlements in the occupied Arab territories as illegal, and it reaches to be a war crime. And one of the main, title in the news now is that Netanyahu refused to renew the mission of TIPH. What TIPH is doing, document the human rights violations, which was happening by the Israeli settlers and the Israeli soldiers toward the Palestinians. So they were giving us an accurate numbers about how many incidents with names, with full details, and they were giving these reports to Israel. 40,000 incidents in 20 years. It's not small numbers. We are talking about around 2,000 incidents per year. It's a lot of attacks, a lot of violations. I think that I am, as a Palestinian, I don't have any protection force. I don't have any right. According to the Israeli legal system, I am under the Israeli military law. The settlers who are passing by now in my street in Hebron are under the Israeli civil law. So you have two sets of law in the same area, one against the Palestinians, where I'm not allowed to any kind of general assembly. On the other hand, the Israeli settlers, they are just attacking Palestinians. Me personally, in the last 3 weeks, I was attacked 5 times. My house was attacked 3 times by the Israeli settlers. They destroyed my walls 2 times. They threw stones toward my house. They beat me physically by violence in front of soldiers. On video, I was asking the soldier who was there to protect me from the settlers who were attacking my house and attacking me. The soldier told me, they are my people. I am with them against you.
Okay.
Another 7 Palestinians were injured. We all believe in violence, non-violence. We don't believe in violence. And we don't justify any kind of violence. The violence is happening near our homes and near our streets. And what the settlers are doing near our homes and in our streets in West Bank and, in Hebron and in Jerusalem and other cities in Palestine.
Bar-Yoshafat. So we have Issa Amro saying, I'm being attacked by settlers and the IDF is doing nothing. Do you accept that there's a problem there?
If I would see an IDF not doing anything when a Jewish person living in Judea would attack an Arab person living in Judea, I would think that's wrong, yes. But I just want to clarify one thing. We investigate every incident like that. There are already people who are arrested for many of the accusations against the settlers. However, under the Palestinian Authority, it's a death sentence if you sell your house to a Jew. If you murder a Jew and you go to prison, you get 5 times more money than the average wage.
I mean, again,
it's not that I'm defecting. It's the fact that you're trying to focus.
We have conversations about the PA. We have PA representatives on here, and they have to be held accountable. We're talking about something very specific here. So each time I ask you about one thing, you say, but the other side does worse. So I'm saying, how about, here's a guy, Issa, saying, I was attacked by settlers, and the IDF saying I can't do anything about it because these are my people. Let's look at that.
Well, I serve in the IDF. I serve in the IDF.
Right.
I just had a month of reserves 2 months ago. I had a soldier that was attacked by a female terrorist holding a knife. He didn't shoot her. She dropped the knife. We had to take her to some medical care because she obviously she has some mental issues. So his story just doesn't make sense to the reality that I see. And I serve in the IDF, so I cannot really see any case where. I was attacked many times when I was walking in Jerusalem and I had the Jewish symbol and people wanted to lynch me. But it doesn't mean I'm going to argue that all Arabs are going to attack all Jews. So if you're saying we have 440,000 Jews living in Judea and Samaria. If you have a few people who are misbehaving, obviously I condemn it. I'm just saying that the title seems to be the back of a Jewish person attacked the knife held by an Arab. And when I hear this, I'm like, I cannot take this seriously.
Okay, but we take it seriously when the UN says that the attacks have gone up 175% compared with 2016. That's why we discuss it, right? Issa Amro, Ranbar again saying you have to look at it in the broader context. This is a small portion of it. Address that for me, Issa.
How it's a small portion? Temporary international presence in Hebron documented 40,000 incidents in 20 years. That is a large number. It's not happening anywhere in the world. I can tell you that I was attacked, detained, and my rights were violated in January only more than 5 times. My people are completely oppressed. My people are completely, living without basic rights. You can't defend yourself. You don't have any force to protect you. Netanyahu now dismissed the TIPH observers. He doesn't want, and they don't want the truth to come out. Look, the soldier, what he's doing now, is disturbing me. So if he served as a soldier, he should understand and know that many soldiers in the army, the Israeli army, decided to break the silence, and it's called breaking the silence. And I hope that he reads their testimonies and see what they talk about and understand what they are talking about. They should understand, the Israelis, and your guests must understand that the human rights violations are systematically happening in Palestine, in Hebron, in Jerusalem, all over West Bank. The settlers, they attacked Mughayir. They attacked the village, not the villagers they went to, the settlement. So settlers, they attack, they shoot, they do whatever they want. And you know about the woman who was killed when she was in her way to, in Nablus, and he defended, and other Israeli leaders, they defended the settlers who attacked her. They went to the yeshiva on Shabbat, they broke Shabbat to train them how not to confess, how not to talk to the police, and to stay silent. We have groups called themselves price tag campaigners, and the price tag campaigners, they have guidelines how to attack Palestinians. They train their activists how to attack Palestinians and burn the houses, and they attack Palestinian groups.
Issa, and you talk about it being systematic, and there's a deeper discussion to be had here about incitement on both sides, right? But for the moment, as I've said for the past 10 minutes, we wanted to focus on the settler attacks and the context within that the settler attacks. I have to move on, but I hope you'll both come back onto the program. Bar-Yoshafat and Issa Amro, I hope you both come back onto the Newsmakers so we can discuss this further sometime soon.